I led the battle to put some strong language in the stimulus bill dealing with bonuses, golden parachutes, excessive executive compensation back some 6 or 7 weeks ago. It was strong language adopted unanimously by the United States Senate. I thought it was needed because, frankly, there had been examples too often of people taking advantage of a situation with taxpayer dollars to enrich themselves at a time when others were paying an awful price as a result of this economic crisis. I was asked by the Treasury Department to modify some of that language 6 weeks ago, which seemed rather technical and innocuous at the time. Had anyone suggested to me 6 weeks ago that this was on behalf of some bonuses for AIG employees who had received substantial taxpayer money to try and keep that organization alive, I would have rejected it out of hand. I'm disappointed, frankly, that those who requested this kind of a change didn't have the courage to stand up a couple of days ago and admit that they were the ones who asked for it. But they did. It seemed technical at the time. Obviously, it's turned out to be something more than that, as we've learned. I'm determined to do what everyone else can here to see that we reach back and reach these dollars. In fact, part of that amendment still allows the Secretary of the Treasury to, where he finds public interest stakes involved, to be able to use that as a justification for going back. In fact, I'm told they're doing that right now. This has been a problem, in my view, generally, going back into September with the previous administration, when we were working on the original proposals here. The resistance I had then to including language dealing with executive compensation. Not because I want to be punitive or hostile. That's not the point. The point is, when you're asking the American taxpayers to support and sustain their support for critically important economic decisions, if you turn around and find that their very tax dollars are being used to enrich people with bonuses, with golden parachutes, with luxurious items and so forth, it is infuriating. And that's why I've been insistent upon this. I'm the author of what was an 11-page amendment that covered the waterfront, I thought, 7 weeks ago, on dealing with these issues. And so no one's angrier than I am to watch something that I thought was worthwhile to put into that bill. I wouldn't go around and change my own amendment within days of that if I didn't think it was merely technical in nature. And so I'm angry about it, and angry that in a sense I've been held up as sort of responsible for all of this, when in fact I responded to what I thought was a reasonable request at the time, which has turned out to be far more than that. I went through 6 weeks of a lot of criticism from the financial press, from Wall Street and others, that my amendment was too restrictive, it was unfair, there'd be a brain drain, people would leave right and left. Day after day I was hammered away because I had gone too far. I find it ironic that some of the same people who were critical of the amendment in the first place are now saying it didn't go far enough. In a sense, which is it, in a sense? So this maybe will finally cause a wake-up, and we'll see people shut this down entirely so we don't see any more of it. Is there any silver lining in all of this? And maybe the silver lining is, I was the only one to offer I was the only one to speak on behalf of my amendment back 6 weeks ago when I offered on the floor of the Senate. That ought to tell you something at the time. Now everyone's getting religion on the issue. So maybe it took this, in a sense, to finally wake people up to the point that we need to shut this down across the board. Maybe these institutions will wake up and see the public reaction themselves. Where are the trustees in these matters, the people managing these dollars? You can't keep on pumping capital in these places without having some better idea as to how to get these toxic instruments people talk about off the books. So maybe out of all of this, we'll finally see these kind of activities shut down once and for all. I've been at it since September here, and tried, as I said, to get this adopted a few weeks ago. And unfortunately, we had, at the time, which I said to you again, looked rather innocent in a way to me. And had anyone ever suggested to me, anyone, that in the process of doing this, we're designing basically to protect some bonuses for a handful of people at AIG or anyone else for that matter, believe me when I tell you I would have flatly rejected it. I'm not a newcomer to the issue of dealing with bonuses and executive compensation at this level. Politics is politics. I was born at night but not last night, and I understand politics. But I'll tell you this as well. Standing in a community in my state, this issue isn't about my job. It's about their jobs. It's about their future and their children. And I'm not in the business of getting re-elected to office. I'm in the business of doing my job that I got elected to do. And I'm going to do my job. I'm going to fight every day on behalf of the people of the state and across the country. Politics will take care of itself one way or the other in the final analysis. And I'll either once again earn that respect and confidence of the people of the state, or I won't. But my job is to go out and do my very best during this term of the United States Senate, during this very difficult time. And I'm determined to do that. At the end, politics will take care of itself. But I'm not going to spend the next 20 months in a constant campaign. I think people are sick of it. They're sick of the kind of politics of personal destruction. They want to hear what ideas you have, what difference you can make in their lives. The big issue of the day is not whether or not I get reelected. The big issue of the day is whether or not our country is going to get back on its feet again or not. And I'm going to do everything in my power. Why Joe Courtney and I are standing here today is to try and make a difference for the people we represent. That's my job, not about getting reelected. Thank you all very much.